Welcome to Murray Mysteries.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I am here with the amazing Dr. Jane Seward for yet another clinical hour.
That's not why I'm here.
Oh, nonsense. I'm sure you have plenty to say to our wonderful audience.
Lucy, please. Art asked me to take a look at you.
And you have. You came, you saw, you can tell them I'm fine.
I wouldn't call that a proper examination.
I thought you weren't a medical doctor.
I'm not. That's true, but Art said you wouldn't see anyone else.
That's because I don't want to waste a doctor's time when I'm perfectly healthy. The NHS is dying, Jane. I refuse to contribute to its demise.
All right, then at least talk to me. 2 minutes. No deflecting, only straight answers.
I am...
And no straight jokes. I'm serious, Lucy. This is important. If nothing else, do it for Art. They'll be much happier if they know you're okay.
Fine. Ask away, Scrooge.
How have you been sleeping lately?
Honestly? Not great. I'm having some nightmares. Nothing really terrible. I can't even remember them properly. But they do leave this vague feeling of fear when I wake up. It's better when Art is staying over or when I sleep in my mum's room.
Have you been doing that a lot?
Just a couple of times. She's not a fan of the idea. She's still a bit ill and she thinks I'm doing it because I worry about her.
And do you?
Yes? No? I don't know. I'm sure she'll get better. It's not like she's fading away. She's just not as well as I'd like.
Of course. Now, do you feel like your sleep troubles are affecting you during the day?
No, not really.
Lucy,
What?
you look terrible.
Ouch! I thought you liked how I looked.
It's not what I... You know that's not what I meant. You're always beautiful, but at the moment, well, you don't look like yourself. That's what I meant.
Alright, so I guess I'm a little tired. My throat is achy and I'm paler than usual, but that's not really... It's nothing to worry about. A couple solid nights sleep and I'll be ready to roll again.
I don't know, Lucy. I've heard Mina's podcast. There's been something wrong for a while now.
That was sleepwalking. It's completely different.
And that hasn't been happening again?
Not that I know of. No.
Right.
So, what's the verdict, Doctor? Am I on the brink of death?
I think you're suffering from symptoms of sleep deprivation, which itself is most likely caused by anxiety.
I'm not anxious. That's Mina's thing.
Anyone can be anxious, Lucy, and repressing it doesn't make it go away. It just pushes it down until it has no choice but to manifest through nightmares and insomnia. I'm going to prescribe you some sleeping aids. They should help you get back on your feet, but you can't rely on them for too long, okay? I want you to look after your sleep hygiene, get some fresh air and exercise during the day, go to bed at regular hours, avoid caffeine later in the day.
So I have to be Mina?
You have to be reasonable.
Potato.
Will you promise you'll at least try?
I solemnly swear to channel my best friend and her premature old ladiness.
Thank you. Now, one of my old professors is visiting the area next week, and I'd like to get a second opinion.
Come on, Jane. I really don't think that's necessary. I'm sure they have better things to do. Why don't you take them on a tour of the town or something?
Professor Van Helsing will be here in a professional capacity to help me with my research. I'm sure she won't mind helping me with this too.
Alright, fine. But only because I'm curious about this Van Helsing lady. She gonna examine me while I examine her.
Thank you. I promise it won't drag on, I just want to be sure.
Yeah. Now can we record your segment?
Are you sure you won't go and lie down? You look...
We're not doing this again. I played along with your little interrogation, now it's your turn.
I suppose that's fair. I'll play you my latest notes. R continues to be full of surprises. He had an outburst yesterday, but not at the time we've come to expect. It happened around noon. The attendant saw him get agitated and called me and a few other people for help. Good call, considering how violent the episode was. It took about 4 of us to restrain him. It didn't last long, thankfully, only about 5 minutes before he got quiet again, but his screams upset a lot of the other residents, and we spent most of the afternoon on damage control. He's been quiet since, as far as I can tell. I really have no idea what could have caused such an irregular outburst. Later now, I checked on R around 5 p.m. and he seemed a lot happier than I've seen him in a long time. He was catching and eating flies again, and when he saw me come in, he immediately apologised for his behaviour yesterday. I've got to admit, I wasn't quite sure what to say. I really was not expecting this. He seemed extremely lucid and asked if he could be transferred back to his old room. I didn't see a problem since we had the window fixed, so he's back there now. Still under increased surveillance, though. I tried to ask him about what happened in the past few days. It would be immensely helpful to get his point of view on events, but no luck. All he said was that his master had deserted him and he was going to have to do it himself. When I asked what it was, he just changed the topic and asked me if he could have some sugar for the flies. Maybe I could try another approach. It really would be helpful to get insight into his thought process. Another episode from R. Different this time. I left the institution for a meeting in the afternoon, came back as the sun was setting, and R was standing at his window, yelling at the sun. I could hear him from the street. He was definitely upset, but by the time I got into his room, the sun had finished setting and he'd calmed down almost entirely. Then he took his box of flies and threw it away. I was surprised, considering how enthusiastic he was just yesterday. When I asked him about it, he said he was sick of it and didn't want the flies anymore. It's hard to stick to any potential diagnosis considering how often his behaviour changes, but today gave me an idea. I'm going to study the relationship between his outbursts and the position of the sun at noon a few days ago, then sunset. It's a long shot. Maybe it's a coincidence. I have to do more research. This isn't something I'm familiar with. I'll contact the university library, maybe ask Van Helsing to bring some of her books with her. I hope I'm on the right track.
You are such a nerd.
I'm a clinical psychiatrist. It's my duty to do as much research as necessary to properly diagnose my patient.
Sounds like something a nerd would say. So you think this has something to do with the sun?
I'm not certain of anything yet, but I think it's a possibility. Think about it. His previous patterns also involved the sun. He escaped at night twice, then he became calm at night but agitated during the day. This could all be related.
And this professor of yours is going to help you figure it out?
With luck, yes. Van Helsing is the smartest woman I know. If anyone can help, it's her.
Colour me intrigued. Think we could get her on the show?
I suppose you can ask.
Awesome! You heard it here first, listeners. Stay tuned for some exclusives with the great Professor Van Helsing. Exciting stuff, don't miss it!
Murray Mysteries is a Nove storytelling production. This episode was written and produced by May Tudyk and featured Bevan Tankard as Dr. Jane Seward and Megan John as Lucy Westenra. Original music by Sophie Kay. Thank you for listening.